Hello and welcome to AmassGames. Today I'm bringing you my top 250 games of all time. Now this list will vary at some point, but I'm most likely to do a top 100 going forward. And over the years, it's now been over 1,500 games I've had a chance to play. And there are some expansions, there are some promos, there are some mini expansions, amongst other things, some re-implementation of games. And this list does include those expansions and maybe some promos and stuff like that, mainly because there are some games I do prefer with those expansions. So in that top 250 list, I'm not including some games. Instead, they're replaced perhaps by an expansion or something else. There might even be both. But that's just because of what I think of the game, and I think you should get whatever I might decide. Separately to that, this has actually been re-implemented itself, and in fact, we'll open that in a moment. In addition to this, there is Cockroach Poker Royal, which I used to own. That's why it says previously owned, which is different to this one. It's a bluffing game. It's a very nice bluffing game, but there's a lovely printout sheet that I highly recommend in the files folder that basically does help you along a lot with basically the kinds of things you can do. So that's in at number 250. I think I'll stop with the whole which number it is, but let's crack on with the next one. And we actually do have, like I said, this has been the re-implementation of Cockroach Poker. So there it was, it did get re-implemented. That's the game that I actually had as well. And like I say, I'm now going to move on to the next game in that list. So we have Twice as Clever. So this is another implementation. It's the second in the game by Spiel, or over in the States you'll find it as Stronghold Games. And basically it's Ganz Clever, or That's Pretty Clever. I found the original, I will tell you now, it's not higher up in the list. I found it a bit too straightforward, and I much prefer the variety you get in Twice as Clever or Double So Clever. Now, again, it's a roll and write, and it's not a bad roll and write, but it's a great designer, Wolfgang Warsch. And I'll just let you know that the rating here is how much I like to play it, as opposed to what I really think of that game. But generally speaking, these do highly correlate. So let's move on to the next one. We have Chocolate Factory. This is a game by David Digby, Matthew Johnson, and Brett J. Gilbert. David Digby I've come across a few times, but Brett J. Gilbert I've met many times. I've played a lot with his sister, and it's a game by Alley Cat Games, as you can see. It's a game whereby you're trying to have a bit of worker placement going on, and resource management, and gain some various pieces. And yeah, it's a Euro game. It's a lovely feel that both Matthew Dunstan and Brett J. Gilbert do when they do their games. This is a medium weight game, as you can see. It's very nice. There is a typo actually in the game, and I think for most parts it works very well. The pieces are fantastic. That was actually a kickstarted game. And aside from that, I think if you do like your Euros and medium weight, and especially these designers, I highly recommend checking it out. Nothing really against the game. I mean, this is represent chocolate, which is fine, but I actually think the sweeties where it really shines. If we go into an image, you'll see. In fact, some of my images, I believe, are in here too. So if we go into something like this, you can see that you've got these, bright pieces, and you're basically on this conveyor belt. You're trying to grab maybe some coal and whatever it might be, some fuel, to basically power up your sweetie house. So yeah, very nice medium weight game, slightly heavier to what they normally do. Feast Frodo. Well, this is a heavy game. Now, this obviously is not in the top 100, as you can see, but according to everybody, 22 is obviously very high overall for everybody's opinion on games. Now, the reason why Feast Frodo isn't as high as other games, I've played over 20 games by Uwe Rosenberg, and numerous games designed by Dennis Lockhausen. He's done many of his other games, such as Fields of Arla. 7.5 is a fantastic rating. And the only reason I shy away from it is it takes a huge amount of table space. It takes an hour plus to explain to somebody. It has done a few times I've seen. And I think, there's many options in the game. It's not a game that you can play really quickly. Definitely not in that kind of duration. It's normally 3 or so hours. But I think playing it solo is something I might try out. And a player count maybe of 2, as opposed to what I played in the 4 more, which is, slightly a bit of a delay. So it's a worker placement game. There's 60 opening moves, and you're trying to cover up your territory, trying to be the best Viking possible for this feast. March of the Ants. Well, this is like a 4X-y kind of explore, exterminate, expand and exploit kind of game. It's very interesting. It's very strange where it's got 70 minutes here. It's a game whereby, funnily enough, I was about to win the game, and on the last turn, the owner of the game happened to just, shall we say, hold back on trying to go for something and went for it in the last turn. And yeah, it's a very nice game. It's kind of grid movement. I said 4X. You're trying to just grab some resources and you're trying to build out and go places and deploy and then redeploy. Yeah, it's a very interesting game, and not many people seem to talk about it too much. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. I don't know too much about the other designers, and it was a Kickstarter game, hence maybe why obviously not many people always hear about it. But yeah, these are the games this guy's done. So unlock. I'll tell you one thing, there are more than one unlock in here. This was actually the very first unlock I played. And yeah, I highly recommend it. And yeah, it's a very nice one. It's I think it's medium weight from what I recall. And it's one of 3 in this mystery adventure series. I can't really say too much without spoiling it, but yes, it's an escape room kind of game. You're trying to solve puzzles. So yeah, check out Unlock. Cinco Linko. Well, this is by Big Potato. A bit like a 4X, a Connect 4, so like an N in a row kind of game. Abstract strategy. Whole bunch of things, grab them off and just try to make a certain amount in a row. To be honest, it's 5 in fact. It's obviously the name Cinco, 5 in a row. So there you have it. Quite easy to explain that one, as most games which happen to be abstracts are. This name sounds familiar. I want to know if he's anything to do with. Wow, this is really interesting. He's done all of their artistry. Very interesting. Obviously, makes sense. Big Potato. One of his known to as at Happy Duck. Lucky Duck Games, who do Chronicles Crime. So this is the next one in the lot that I like, which is Secret Adventures, a Knot-Eyed Story. I don't really know too much about this clown, mad scientist kind of guy, but yeah, I do like this one. It's an interesting story, and leaves you with something of interest at the end. So there we go. Well, this is the free edition of Spot It, or Double, if you're over in the Europe or UK. Comes not in a tin, but in a little plastic pouchy thing. Very easy to explain, nice and small, just use a few cards. And yeah, it's very interesting to see, obviously, what people think of this game. Like the other game, actually, these cards don't bend. Well, they do bend, but they don't stay bent, which is really good. And if you like a Doppel, this is a nice one just to have in an even smaller container. So this is a game where there's hidden movement. This is Battlestar Galactica, the board game. And yeah, it's a massively famous designer, Corey Knizia, if I pronounce that correctly. And it's by Fantasy Flight Games. I'm not sure what's going on with the ownership of that right now, especially with Corey doing his own stuff. This guy's done many things. He's done games such as Outer Rim. And over here you can kind of see the various things that can be going on. Do you want to be the Cylons? Are you trying to attack things? And yeah, it can go on for a bit. It's usually around 3+ hours. But as sort of traitor kind of game goes, if I mention hidden movement, apologies, but traitor games go, obviously this is one you want to check out, especially for the big lengthy kind of full session of a game in a maybe your game night, whatever it might be. So just tell me a bit more about this guy. So obviously he's made lots of big games. Eldritch Horror, Descent, so I've played that. Haven't actually played Eldritch, funnily enough. Been Star Wars Rebellion, which is great, and Destiny. Did a good Star Wars weekend once, playing 4 different Star Wars in a day. And like I said, Outer Rim 2. That didn't go down too well, I don't think. Discover Lands Unknown. But Twilight Imperium 4th edition, obviously, that's a massive game. Bloodborne. Lovely pieces, one of the best pieces I've seen in a game here. Now this is based by Eric M. Lang, who's a very famous designer. He's done Blood Rage and stuff like that, and Rising Sun. And Bloodborne is of interest, and we'll come back to him in a moment, because it's based on, I think, the 4th highest ranked computer game of all time. So yeah, if you like your games where you're trying to beat a monster, kind of beat him down, there's something that might work for you here. Now, out of interest, unfortunately, the kind of tokens I really like are these things here, which you can't easily get into. But that is Bloodborne. So like I said, here's the designer. And yeah, this is the new game coming along, which I think's been delayed a little bit. And yeah, aside from that, what else has been doing? Like I said, Blood Rage, Bloodborne, the others, which I still haven't played yet, and I mentioned Rising Sun. Okay, on to another implementation. This is Brass Birmingham. So there's so many games so far I've done well by re-implemented. Involves poker chips, basically. Obviously really highly rated, 3rd overall. Used to live in Birmingham for 3 years, got nothing to do with whether I liked it, nothing to do with the fact this has canals in it and growing up next to a canal. But yeah, you're building, networking, developing, you're selling, you can loan and stuff like that. And let me just show you some of these wonderful token pieces if I can grab any. But yeah, it's very highly rated. Quite dry game though, to be honest. It's something that's put me off. And yeah, it's a game that I think, like I said, here are those clays or the replacement clays that you can be getting. So yeah, if you like your games which are heavy Euros, this is the one to go for. Martin Wallace is a designer I found pretty heavy early on, but yeah, something for you to check out. So Endeavour, Age of Sail. So this is another implementation of Endeavour, funny enough, and this is by Grand Gamers Guild. So I played this and enjoyed it very much. A Euro, quite an open Euro strategy. Well, quite tight in the sense that I think all the resources are pretty much known. So only small things are hidden, like Hands to Teutonica, and yeah, obviously I highly rate it. So another swift moving on. We now have Escape from Colditz. I've actually played the re-implementation as well. There are numerous versions. I've played one with the swastika on it, in fact. And yeah, it's a game whereby it's like hidden movement again. You're trying to get out of Colditz, or you're the baddies, and you're trying to actually, grab them and stop those prisoners from escaping. And yeah, it's a very interesting, very nice game. The 75th anniversary edition in particular is really nice. Plays very well at all player counts, I personally believe. And yeah, I used to own I think a couple of copies. So it says in my collection, but yeah, it's not currently with me. In fact, I'll mark that it was previously owned, because I did actually have another pair as well. So, Imploding Kittens, it's an expansion now. So, used to have Exploding Kittens, amongst other ones. In fact, it was the Not Safe for Work version. And Imploding Kittens has a few different things, has some different cards, some blue cards, different things where things can basically go back and be a bit different. Very, very popular game, very, very popular on Kickstarter. I think the second most popular Kickstarter ever. And yeah, if you're interested in Exploding Kittens, I highly recommend this. Do apologise for not recalling all the rules for Imploding Kittens. We could probably have a quick look at the files, and in fact there aren't any, that's a shame. Tell you a little bit more about what Imploding Kittens does. Go to the back of the box and just bring some stuff up. So yeah, get some new different cards, things you can expand, and yeah, numerous things you can work with. So another game that re-implements itself, so that was Broom Service, the big game by Alexander Pfister, and here we have the card version. Not all card games I think are great re-implementations, but in this case I think it works lovely and very well. It's a great filler game, easy to teach, and whenever I start a new job, it's the first game I kind of say, hey guys, I've got a small game, it's a lunch break, let me show it to you. So a small little box in comparison, I think that works very well in its favour. And just taking you back to the game itself, I don't know why it's got so little love. I've had it as a fan for a long time. Yeah, no, I've played it lots of different ways, and it's a bit of a push your luck set collection kind of game, seeing if you can maximise your potions to, yeah, be the first to complete some contracts, and yeah, be the best witch there. This Brave and Cowardly is very nice. So basically it's saying, can you go a bit more stronger on early in the round, so basically playing a card out, or risk going later, and of course somebody else getting there first and saying, I want to go for that potion. So picking your potions early is a good idea. If I pick blue, then you pick blue, then I obviously do better because I went first. The downside is I might not do very well in other areas. Okay, Holding On. Very interesting, very dark kind of game about trying to save someone's life and trying to make them have the best kind of end of life possible. So Rory O'Connor from Rory Story Cubes, that's named after him, who's pretty much the owner of Hub Games. A very interesting game whereby set in Northern Ireland or in Ireland and around the IRA times, and about this chap who is, go into him in a moment, who is on his way back from Sydney, and yeah, he's trying to tell you, basically tell things about his life and decide, well, what is it that is going on, and yeah, how can we best look after him, and hopefully he does have a a nice ending to his life. So it's very interesting. It's a set collection involving trying to match up memories. Yes, it's a very different kind of game. Don't know why it's so lowly rated. So, Istanbul the dice game, another reimplementation here. Very interesting theme going on. Again, this is way up in the top 250s, remember. Rutger Dorn, great designer. Hasn't made too many games, but I'll come into in a moment. Played yet, the Pegasus Spieler edition, actually. And, yeah, that's Würfelspiel, you can say as well. And yeah, it's a very nice game. I do prefer it, I think, over Istanbul, just the way the dice work and how we can pick things and place things out. It's very nice. Like I said, I definitely prefer it over Istanbul. Okay, so Rutger Dorn. Let me come back to Rutger Dorn. And actually, Asante is one of the ones I've played. Las Vegas I've played. Dragonheart I haven't, well, I actually may have played. And more recently, Luxor, which is good, and a game that really surprised me how good it was. Well, I played Kuruba, which was nominated for Game of the Year, I might have won, is Steam Time. Steam Time has been a fantastic game. Really, really liked Steam Time. And yeah, might come back to this later, I can't be certain. But yeah, there's Las Vegas. There's his Dragonheart. Didn't like that on Board Game Arena. And Luxor's good. I haven't played on Board Game Arena yet, but is yeah, Queen Games. We have Kuruba. And like I say, coming down, it was nominated for Spiel.digital. I've managed to actually crack the game in terms of puzzle solve it on the second attempt and get a really, really good score. I had even had spare pieces left, so it kind of went down for me actually for that reason. So, what's next? Metro X. Well, Metro X, this is the newer version of it. The original is fantastic as well. It comes with a smaller box and actually says Japan and Tokyo and Kyoto on it. This is more about big town and metro city and stuff like that. But this comes with the raisable boards with pens, very nice pens. So this is the version by Gamewright. Very nice game, slightly bigger box as mentioned, but fantastic job of actually getting everything in here in a great fashion. These cards look different to the one I have as well, which is quite strange. So if you go into here, yep, as you'll see in my video, as I've got videos for this, that is how it looks. It looks lovely. So it's a rail and write game. Rolling and write, but flipping and write because using cards. Well, we have an expansion for Camel Up. So this is where you can use the Grand Prix of the Sahara. So this has something a little bit different, where basically you can have some whirlwind spaces. And again, it's not Camel Cup, it's Camel Up. And if ever it leaves a space, it always moves on to another space. And it's something to be aware of. But yeah, it adds a nice little change up to the game. Not going into too much detail, but yeah, that's Camel Up. So this is Flux. Flux is an okay game. It's kind of love it or hate it in a way. This is probably my pick of the bunch. And that's Monty Python Flux, because you get to sing. You get to sing stuff from Monty Python. You go, or and I am a lumberjack, and he's okay, and stuff like that. So Balloony Labs, Andrew Looney, yep, the owner of Balloony Labs, he designed it, as for the 40 other Fluxes, whatever it might be now. And Pegasus Spieler for Germany. So yeah, fun game, quite enjoy this one, and easy to play and teach. You can win it on your first turn. Pandemic. Spoiler alert, there's going to be another pandemic coming up, and it's going to be in the next video that I'll be doing in this series. So this is Reign of Cthulhu. So, yep, it's a nice light pandemic, in my opinion, involving monsters kind of coming after you. Same artist as the other ones in the pandemic series. And the reason this is so high up in the sort of top 250 list is the fact that I find the peril isn't very strong. I find it's not that easy to lose. So I think that for that reason, it doesn't really work for me as much. This Chuck Yeager sounds interesting. As much as the other pandemics. So far, you know, it's nice enough. But if you want an easy pandemic, Cthulhu, I think everyone just wants to just play Cthulhu, and it's a free license, and it's a bit of a shame that people just want to jump on the bandwagon. But it seems to sell. So let's look this guy up. All right, don't know much about this. Rise of Cthulhu. He loves Cthulhu. Well, let's take a look at that right now. Okay, so next one we have Magikaro. Magikaro Millionaires Rose. This is an expansion that you can play with Magikaro, and it actually seems to go with another game. So I didn't know anything about this Metropolia game. Oh, which looks like it is Magikaro. Okay, so let's just come back a screen if we can, which might be easier if I just do it this way. Hopefully you can hear me fine. Millionaires Row. So it's a game that, as you see, I've actually only played it once, but impressed with what I played it for. Adds a few more cards, obviously 13 the winery, the moving company and general store. And yeah, it's a nice combo to play with Magikaro. So, the reason I didn't talk about it too much is there's the deluxe edition. Very nice pieces. It's a lovely way to play Magikaro. And of course, you can actually play it because it does include those other expansions. Includes Millionaires Row, includes the Harbour expansion. And it's this it's a dice drafting game where you're trying to build a city and do a great job. And you can get the Pandasaur editions as well. Now, the reason why I'm kind of skipping quite fast is because Magikaro is also on this list. You don't have to spend the extra money. You don't have to be overwhelmed by all the other stuff. I recommend checking out Magikaro. And, you know, Space Base has kind of reimplemented it. In fact, it might even mention it here. But it doesn't, which is good. I haven't played Magikaro Legacy, though. So that's something I might be very keen to try out. It's quite an easy Legacy game, I believe. And it's quite easy to actually... play a completed set of it still, so you don't destroy anything. So yeah, it's a very nice game. You're rolling dice and trying to do great things possible. And that brings me to the end of my top 25 of that top 250 to 226. And apart from mentioning there'll be another pandemic coming up, there's also going to be an area control game. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hit the like button to let me know that you enjoy the content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and checking out all the new stuff coming along. And hit the comments, check out that, send something to me and I'll get back to you, and check out the description as well. Like I say, it does include expansions, it does include implementations, as well as promos and other things, but hopefully that's because I believe that compared to any other game out there, that's where I think everything should be. Well, thanks very much. Speak to you again soon. Bye for now.